Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the October 24th meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners. Calling the meeting to order at 6:30. I could have a roll call. Sandy?
Sandy Slavin. Donna Bronk.
Malcolm White.
Peter Dunlop.
And Jim Gibberti. We have minutes here from October 10th.
I make a motion, we accept the October 10 minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500. We have some abatements here. First one is for 74 Algonquin Street. Billing in the amount of $313, a total of $417.34 to be abated.
I make a motion that we approve the amount of $417.34 be abated to 74 Algonquin Street per the recommendation of the Director of the Wareham Water Pollution Control.
Second, oh, Peter.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Zippo. Next one we have is an abatement in the amount of $626.
I make a motion that we approve the amount of $626 be abated to 11 Woodbury Street as suggested by the Director of the Wareham Water Pollution Control Center.
Do you have a second?
Can I ask a question before we go further on that one?
Go right ahead.
What's the difference between what they're asking? Is that the interest?
So interest and penalties, I can't abate. I can only abate the sewer user fee. So in this case, yes, you notice the water's been off for many years, but I can only go back 1 year. So it's 313, so I can go back one complete year, so they can only get back 626. Sometimes when they let it go and they don't bring it to our attention, the town itself has fees, late fees and all that, and I can't touch those. So they may ask for them, but I can't give it back to them.
Okay. I was just curious. I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
50-50. Now for 41 East Boulevard, in the amount of a 300 wait a minute here.
626 and 313?
313 BD
939.
and denied. Wait a minute.
Make a
So
motion.
they asked for $992.57, so they can get the 622, it's 626 was a year again, and the 313 from the previous year, I can't give it to them. I can only go back 1 year. So the original request was 927, I think
939.
992.57 was their
Right.
request. I can only give them back 665 because that's 1 full year.
665?
626, I'm sorry.
Oh, 626.
626, which is a
Okay.
full year rate.
Okay.
I make a motion that,
Oh, see, that's the one that had the interest. That's what I was.
Yeah.
curious.
okay,
It's nothing I can
so
do.
you want to give them the 626?
I'll go back a year. I mean, it's only fair. That's the best I can do, because what
Okay.
happens, the water goes off many years ago.
Right.
We just
I
keep billing.
you
It's
don't
not
know, yeah.
with us, and so when that comes to my attention, 1 year and I'm done.
Well,
That's all I can do.
I make a motion that we abate $626 to 41 East Boulevard per Director of the Wareham Water Pollution Control's recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's approved. And now we have one for 18 Rose Point Avenue. Application been denied for $200. The home does have a well, but the homeowner did imply on their application that they come back on the weekends.
Yeah, he just feels that he doesn't use it much, so he shouldn't have to pay.
Oh. I make a motion that we deny the $200 requested by 18 Rose Point Avenue. as suggested by the Director of the Wareham Water Pollution Control.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next one is for 29 War Avenue.
Okay. I make a motion that we abate $626 back to 29 War Avenue as recommended by the Director of the Wareham Water Pollution Control Center.
And further, it goes from 2 EDUs to 1 EDU,
Yes, I did see, I'm sorry, yeah, I should have added that
so
too.
we're aware.
And I also recommend, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we've got a couple of contracts with GHD. We're trying to fund their IRAs.
So this is the generator contract for Terry Lane and for Saltworks, Old Saltworks Road. And these are the ones that have to be built up above the high water mark. It's the new slash marks and established by FEMA. The building that, we have a generator in these buildings and they're water cooled, which is no longer acceptable. We have to take them out and we have to put in non-water cooled generators from potable water. The buildings that they're in, they were made very small. We can't get them in the buildings, and we can't rehab the buildings. We have to put them outside on a pedestal and an attenuating sound enclosure, plus waterproof, the whole 9 yards. So it's got to be designed, and that was this very expensive project. It was actually on last year's budget, approved last year at town meeting, and we just never got it done. And so we moved it to this year, and we're trying to get it done this year. And it's also, again, on this year's capital. It was on capital plan. This is the generators for, last year we only ended up doing one.
Yeah.
Because there's a 3, we couldn't do it, so these 2 are the
Okay,
ones.
my question on this one here, for the 81K, is this for generator plus the construction of the pad? and
Everything. It's for-
Compassing and
yes.
wiring and,
That's right.
okay, so this is not just, go.
I guess my question is, you know, a lot of the cost here, the additional cost here, for just the development of the bid documents alone is $13,000. And they were paying somebody $152 an hour to develop them. I mean, to set up bid documents. That just seems outrageous to me.
When we do the bid docs, we want to make sure that it's sound as far as structural, language, the whole 9 yards. So we give it to the engineer to do all of from soup to nuts, they do it all. And the fee to do this, and do the actual bid itself, get the bid out, follow the bid, get the bidders in, review the documents, make sure that they qualify bidders, accept the bidder. That's a process, and we want to make sure it's done properly, especially when they put bids in.
I know.
And I may not understand about the structural,
I know, did we get other bids for this?
for what?
For the generator?
Yes, we did it last year, and we couldn't do it because we got bids, but the bids were not good because they didn't bid the structure. They couldn't do the structural.
Was this the low bidder?
Yeah, well, GHD is one of our contracted engineers that's
Yeah.
on our list. They're one of them. And we talked to 3 of them on the list, and GHD had the better price to do what we needed done out of the 7 that we have on our list.
Was it the lowest price?
Yes, the best price, lowest price, the whole 9 yards, yes. And they're more qualified, too. So he had price qualifications, and he has structural engineers on his staff, so that makes it, because it's structural, and I don't want that baby coming down.
I just think it's wicked high, but hey.
You know, the fees, I got to tell you, when I look at engineering costs, they're between 120 to 250 bucks an hour.
Yeah, but
That's what they get.
$152 an hour for admin work, come on.
Well,
That's ludicrous.
it's more than admin, because the research that goes into writing these docs, you got to be very specific. As the material and the sound and the attenuation, all the things that we're asking for a structural, it's going to be totally 18 feet in the air. We got to be able to climb up it, down it, service it. I just can't take a chance of somebody just throwing something up there. Plus, it's got to handle the 100 mile an hour, 440 mile an hour winds. So it's a structural piece of equipment, and you got to have a structural. It just has to be. We can't afford to just have somebody throw it in there because they can do it for a lot less money, but really not be qualified.
That's not my point. I just think that you know, I worked for an engineer firm for a long time. I just think their fees are just outrageous, that's all.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
are.
questioning them, I'm not questioning the quality, but I mean,
looking at that?
I'm just looking for
Yeah.
what they pay their admin staff and other stuff. It just seems outrageous to me.
Well, I deal with engineer surveys, they're all around, I don't know of anybody in this whole region that's less than 150. I guess under the 125, but that's what their price is.
Well, that's fine for an engineer, but an engineer isn't doing all this work.
The engineer is taking the work and giving it to the person that do actual typing, whatever. But the engineer does the research, and here's what we need to put in. I get it. And
Just
it's-
just my comments.
No, I get it. I get
This
it.
one right here, and that one and that one, it just look absolutely outrageous if you look at the amount of hours that, and who does
So
what.
what do you suggest to our alternative is?
Well, I didn't see the other bids, so I don't know. I don't know if we're comparing apples to apples, I'm just going on hearsay. I would have liked to, you know, I'm just, again, that's just a thing with me. I would have liked to have reviewed the other bids, and,
Are the other bids available at the office for review?
They were quotes, let me see, I probably have the quotes. We called, what we do is we have a list of 7 engineers. We call all 7, and tell them what we're looking for. Some disqualify themselves to begin with, because we only use the 7 on the list, and others say, okay, here's what I get, I'll get 125, I get 150, 160, and we usually take the best one. 150, that was the best price. I think the other ones came in at a higher, 175, 225, so we did, okay, you can do it for 150. I think it was 150 or whatever it was. And so we said, okay, we'll go with that, and that's just... Because so first of all, they're on the list, so we can just pick something on the list and use them. That's why we put them on the list. But we take it one step further, we call everybody on the list and say, okay, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Can you do it? What's your staffing? What do you have? And we go
Drawings
from
cost
there.
$50,000.
That's why we went on, we got the original
like-
list of qualified.
$53,388.
my other question is, on the fees section on page 2 of 6, it says, $81,500, but only $81,000 is written in. The number 81,000.
So that would be the number you use. The law
Why
says
would you
that
give it, why would they give us two? I'm just
it's
curious.
probably a misprint. Somebody probably did a misprint, and so when there's a misprint, you take what's written. And so they could put 81,000 written and put 91,000 in writing. The written is what it, I mean, it's what it is, so.
So the 81,500 is the cost?
Written, right, it's written in the, yes.
Yes, same as a check, yeah,
So that's just,
Even though it disagrees with Exhibit B?
right.
yeah. Oh, I didn't even see that one.
Because it's, the hard part is when they do these docs, I guess, like anything else, it's clip and paste. And they paste and clip and they walk, you know.
All they're doing.
And an admin person clips and pastes it.
Yes. Oh, I
Not
get
somebody for $152 an hour.
I get that, but the 152 includes all the overhead costs, and when somebody charges, the engineer charges you 150 to 200 bucks, they're not charging you for them, it's the overhead, their staff, their expenses, that's all built into the
And for
number.
somebody to line out the stuff that's already in there.
Absolutely, it's all, that's part of the cost of, it's called overhead, and I see it all the time, you're paying for all
Oh,
overhead.
rip-off, that's what it is.
Same thing when I use a lawyer, I'm paying this lawyer and the staff, the paralegal's doing all the work, but I'm paying him 350 bucks an hour.
So are we approving the 81,000 or the 81,500?
81,500, I believe, is the number. Let me look
That's
at this sheet.
81,500
That's what it is,
Where you getting that?
81,500.
on your front page, on the page where the number is. The 2 pages over, next page.
And that's the cost to both generators and also
So it
to
says
make sure that
81,000 written, I mean
materials
typed,
right,
I mean the number,
bidding,
look next to it,
oversight, sign-offs, it's for everything. It's nuts.
because it's written.
So you're
next to
gonna
the-
trust this guy, he can't keep his numbers straight, and you're gonna trust
Well,
this
yeah, I
guy to
do.
build it for him?
They don't do
Okay.
numbers well, but I trust his integrity to do his job. The numbers, somebody else does them for him, so I can't go
The
there.
thing that I find excessive is, if you look at the breakdown on the Exhibit B, he charges $19,261 to do 50% of the drawings. Okay, so now 50% are done, and he charges another $20,000 to do another 40% to bring it up to 90. And then to bring it up to 100, another 13,000. That means the drawings are costing $53,000.
Yeah, drawings are expensive.
They're all in CAD.
They're expensive. I get that, but they're expensive. And what you're paying for, to be frank,
check
is the
your own
certification. If that collapses, their stamp. You're paying for the stamp. I don't care what anybody says, you're paying for a stamp. You're paying for the PE stamp, surveyor stamp, you're paying for the stamp. That's where the money is. You're paying for it. Because they're certifying. They're saying that we're building this.
They're definitely certified.
They are. They're certified. Well, maybe certified. They're
Certifiable.
certified.
But they're not building it.
No, but they
These are-
oversee it. They design
Oh, okay,
it.
thank you, but they're not physically doing the build work.
And they're
Okay, just-
watching the
yeah.
build work, and they make
Oh,
sure
I'm
it's
just
built.
trying to get
Yes,
a
I know.
scope for,
This is just to give them a pretty picture.
so somebody else can build to the
Yeah.
picture.
Then we get the mason who will only pay $4 an hour to build it.
Oh, he's up to 12
Don't
now.
make me laugh.
He's up to 12 now. He's got a raise.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mighty expensive. But you say this is the low bid, huh?
I'm sorry?
This is the low bid?
Yeah, this is about a 7, out of a 7, yes.
Okay, just to reiterate, this 81.5 covers the engineering, the construction,
Oversight, yes.
oversight, the installation,
The generator's gotta be
and the
proper.
generator itself.
That's right, the generator's proper.
The generator falls under this dollar figure. They're providing the generator, is that correct?
Generator's part of this package, yes. It's
Okay.
all spec'd out.
So we have, to have the completed project up and running and workable is the 81.5. Is that correct?
That's not the cost of the generator.
The cost,
That's what I just asked.
I
So-
thought that's what you asked, and I thought he said it was, and I
Yeah.
thought the generator.
it's engineering of all
Oh.
that. So let me make sure I understand, because I misunderstood the question. This is to engineer. This whole project is $500,000. This whole project. Because this is just for the engineering to spec out, to get the bid out, to follow it, and then we gotta buy the material, we gotta build the structure, we gotta buy the generator, put the generator on, then buy the sound attenuation, make sure it meets the desperate requirement of the neighborhood, because this is out wide open now. So, yeah, I believe the total cost of this project is $500,000. It's in our CIP, it's in the capital plan. This is just the engineering of the engineering portion of this entire project. We have to have engineers approved and send it through, get the contract. Once the contract's in, then they'll start their work. They'll design it, they'll get it done, they'll bid it out to bid, we'll get the bids on it, and then we'll build it, we'll put the generator on it, we'll run it, we'll certify it, and we'll be done. So this is just the engineering of the entire project. That's all this is, for both locations, Saltworks and Terry Lane.
For what two locations?
Saltworks and Terry Lane. Saltworks is in Buttermilk Bay on the water. It's literally on the water. And so we gotta go up 18 feet. And so it's gonna be,
What if we did the Narrows? Could we use the same engine, the same plant?
no, because it's a different size.
Don't
The
be
generator is
ridiculous.
specific, and the one in Narrows
Exactly.
is inside the building, and so it's actually a modern generator. It's not water cooled, so the building was designed to put one in. Now, if we went to put one in, we had to have a bigger generator, then we got problems. We'd probably have to put it outside, and then we'd have to structural the whole 9 yards. But as long as we keep it inside in the exact same footprint, we're good. So that's the issue that's driving this whole thing. It's gotta be outside, because it cannot go into a building. It's gonna be self-supporting, all by itself, an 18-foot structure with a generator on top, enclosure, and provisionally walk up the stairs, service it, and walk back down the stairs.
It's gonna be a fancy tree house with a generator.
Pretty much, pretty much, pretty much.
Rope ladder up the side.
I don't think I'm gonna service it. I tell you what, that's 18 feet in the air, service it, I'm not climbing that, but, yeah. And the platform's gonna be big enough so they can walk around the entire generator, take the covers off, work on it. It's, yeah.
This is
absolutely.
the
Probably
one
get
on
an apartment
Buttermilk
in there.
Bay. That's not the one that we call the Narrows.
No, you call that Cohasset Narrows.
Okay.
This isn't
What do you think, Mel?
Buttermilk Bay, this is Indian Mound Beach.
Okay, Indian Mountain, okay,
it's
yes,
another
I know,
project of
okay, now I
interest.
know.
Saltworks,
Yep.
right there,
Lawyers and
steep down to the water,
politicians.
Saltworks
You're
Road.
paying
Very
for it
bottom
here.
is our pump station.
And where's Terry
The
Lane?
GHDs.
Terry Lane is in Cremisa, the old
Not really
Campbell
there.
development. You come
Totally.
on
Oh,
Cremisa Road,
yep,
take a
I
left.
got it, yep.
That one just
They're
comes
getting
8 feet.
handed a bagpipe. all those guys.
Now, with this
That they have to
structure they're
cover.
designing, is that deck
They are
gonna be
working
big
at a
enough to
good
have
margin,
cocktails and hors
about
d'oeuvres on it?
16%
We should. This is pricey.
First.
Of the contract.
But again, it's got to meet all the structural, I mean, the wind and the whole, it's got to meet it, has to meet it. I hate to say it, but that's, I can't.
I don't know, Guy, it's almost like when you say boat, anything near the water, hang on.
Yeah, exactly.
the way
Because
it
it
is.
figures out, about 16% of the contract that they're working for, that's pretty good.
That's
But it's also a different location, niche, whatever you want to call it, so. Like I said to Peter, you're paying for the politicians, the lawyers, and the insurance companies, too. They drive a lot of this cost.
And we have no choice, we
Sorry.
have to put it 18, we don't have a choice, we have to put it, we got no
Go
choice.
back to Maine, Jimmy, I'll go with you.
No choice.
You packed?
Me three.
I'm ready. Let's go now.
Well, Maine's changing too.
Less
Now,
money
Maine's
to
starting
live.
get-
Oh, it is?
In the
Yeah,
coastal
Maine's starting
zone,
to get it
I'm
really-
telling you.
They're getting,
You see it with the infrastructure of your own system. It just, it's reflected in the whole
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
location.
Okay, can I have a motion on
Reluctantly,
this?
I make a motion that we accept this contract.
I'll second
A
that.
hundred and, is it a hun, now?
No, 81.5. 81.5,
It's 81.5.
81.5.
right.
We're gonna charge him to correct his figures?
We should.
and the strikeouts were done by our attorney, just so you're aware. Mr. Bowen reviewed it, and the strikeouts are his.
Do we have to pay him separate?
We pay him part of the cost, we pay him,
That's-
absolutely. But that, he did all the strikeouts.
So I'll make a motion, we accept the contract for 81.5.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
No,
410. Gotcha. Okay, now we're gonna have another cute one. This one is for final design of the overflow lagoon at the plant for $198,000.
oh, this is GHD too?
It is.
Oh, Jesus.
So this is a grant. GHD went out and found the grant for us and got us the grant, and we're paying 25%, and 75% is being paid by the state. So they took the time to find us the grant, so our cost of 25 of the total cost of this. So I forget our numbers, but we talked about it last meeting, what our percents were. This is just a contract, because we have a state contract, which is this is a CZM grant. So they gave us the money to do the design. We applied for the grant, we got the grant, and this is just the engineering of it. We're going to complete the grant. And so this is all paid for, or I shouldn't say all, 75% is paid for by the state of Massachusetts through the grant. We're paying 25%. We just need the contract signed, so when we start getting the monies in, we can fund them, we can pay them.
Okay, the bottom line question is,
What's it
what
cost
is
us?
coming out of our pocket on this?
I believe it's-
50,000?
It was 50.
50,000
53 something,
roughly?
what's that? We talked about it last meeting, it's
Oh,
50.
If it's 25%, it's roughly 50,000.
Yes, it's 50, it's 50, but it's 53, and the numbers are hard, but that's what's coming out of our pocket. The rest is coming out of the state's pocket.
Okay,
And they're the low bidder again?
No, they're the only ones that went out and found the grant. Nobody else found the grant. They come to us with a grant opportunity.
So the grant, CZM grant was for 151,000, so this is looking at 47,000 out of our pocket,
Out of our pocket.
but the contract's for 198,000, if I'm doing my math right.
What's it cost us, Sandy?
I don't think it's-
47,000,
Right,
because
I think it's-
151 was the CZM
it's a
grant.
So they go get the grant for us, which I thought we got.
No, no,
Okay, no, they got the grant, so they got themselves work, obviously, because you still don't bid it out, because where they got the grant, you have to give it to them?
I don't have to, but we do. Absolutely. They took the initiative to write the grant.
But you didn't bid it.
No, they wrote the grant, they wrote the application, so you're saying that they did all the work and give it to somebody else.
Well, they're making it up on the other end here.
Well, I know, but it's, they put the
No.
effort in. It isn't,
I'm sorry, I'm seeing too much of GHD, way too much, and I'm just not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with the process, and it's just me. I'm not comfortable with it.
it's a good process, and they do quite a bit for the town in general. They do the town's work also, because they have a good reputation of obtaining the grants, applying for the grants, getting them and putting them in and doing a great job fulfilling them. And the town's pretty happy with them. They've been using them for all their grants. they're moving forward, so
No,
it's a great
I'm just
organization.
telling you. We don't go through the proper bidding process, and
Oh, no, this is through the state, so it is proper, because they're involved with the state bidding. This is all state done.
we only have one bid.
That's what the state does. And remember, engineering is not a procurement. You don't need engineering doesn't need to be procured. It's exempt from procurement laws. And
Okay,
lawyers,
yep.
they're all exempt from procurement.
All right.
Just to confirm, this is the equalization grant that we're looking for the 2.5 million at town meeting to
Yes.
build.
Yes, it's 1.5, I think it's number, but then
Well,
something, yes.
in total, the cost is 2.5 million for the equalization lagoon, and that's what this engineering plan is for.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the contract for 198,000.
I have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
4-1-0. Gotcha.
I just want the board to know, too. I'm going to
Okay.
voice my opinion on town meeting floor about the way these contracts are going.
Is this coming before town meeting? No.
No, just the
No.
This
project
isn't.
is the whole
The
big
project is,
Project is,
and I
but this
will
isn't it.
let people know the process, and I don't believe that we're doing the process fair, right. I think, when I see one contractor all the time, it just,
We're gonna wait
it
from Beta.
stinks. Something stinks.
Actually, I think it's probably one of the fairer methods, because we take the time to actually put it out and get a bunch of engineers. And I cannot account for engineers that do not want to get involved, because we put it out and they choose not to get involved. It's not a choice.
I'm not disputing that, Guy. I'm not disputing that, and I just don't, I don't like the way this smells, that's all. I'm telling you right now. And I just don't, I just don't.
Yeah. I'm very comfortable, it's very
Well,
ethical. and
that's,
I'm really happy, and it's, the integrity is there, and I'm pretty pleased with the
Yeah, but it's the sewer rate users that I'm looking out for their money,
And we
too.
are too. I am too.
Well,
Big time.
you know,
I am.
we're spending money like crazy here. We need to go up all the time, and go up all the time. And how many times have the lagoon, how many times have we addressed the lagoon with baffles, 150? All these things that
Forever.
haven't, well, all the things that haven't worked.
And there's probably,
How do we know this is gonna work?
we know that this is going to contain the water, but with the odors, there's probably not an answer for the odors, because first of all, that design was approved and it should never been approved. I wasn't around, you weren't around. Maybe you were, and maybe you were part of that decision process.
No, I
But
wasn't.
it should never have been.
Was it?
And so we're trying to correct an issue. It's an ongoing.
I know, but it's just such a costly issue, and I just,
I wish it wasn't. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Unfortunately, if we don't make this project happen, raw sewage is going to seep right into the ground in an unlying lagoon, and guess where that water eventually goes out into?
Marion.
To the river.
Then to Wareham River, and then to the bay.
I heard that. I mean, I don't like it, the cost either. But we can't let sewer sit on the ground, seep into the water table, and not do something
but are
about
we
it.
doing the process the best thing for the rate users? Are we going through the right processes?
I don't know
That's what
about
I'm
you, but
questioning.
I don't like the idea of all that nitrogen and everything else flowing into our river.
What are you saying, are we doing the right process? We're controlled by the state, we have to take the low bid.
I understand that, but
Well, what-
I also understand that if you write the grant, you get the bid. You don't go to a, you don't have to go out and bid. You don't have to, you can give, and you don't have to go out and bid engineering fees. That's what I'm hearing here.
Well, you don't.
No, I know, and I'm not, it's not,
That's the
I'm not
law.
frustrated with you guys,
I know,
by
I get
all
it.
means, yeah, I know you're doing your
law,
best.
and-
I'm frustrated with the way things are, I'm frustrated with the money that we're throwing, and the results that we're getting. If we were getting really good, positive results,
Okay, Donna, would you be willing to look at the bids for the generator replacements to see which ones were not accepted, to compare them to what we received? Since there was more than one bid for that, take a look at the basis of that one.
Sandy, what I would be willing to do is in the future, I'm not gonna undermine the superintendent.
Okay,
I'm not gonna sit here and undermine him.
Yeah, but
Okay.
for your own comfort, would you like
But you
to
can be
see
part
what
of the
was
process.
refused?
You got a problem. What's the solution?
I wish I knew.
Okay, well,
I wish
neither
I
do
knew.
we.
But
Okay,
you
for the
of all
moment,
people are always yelling about money, money, money we're throwing out. I just want to make sure we're doing the best job for the rate users. That's all I want. I just want to know that I can sit here and say, oh yeah, we looked at this and we looked at that, and I feel very comfortable with it. I didn't look at anything. I'm looking at the contracts, you know? That's all I'm saying, and I would, please, for the record, I would never, ever undermine you, okay? And I don't mean this to be taken as that way. If I'm delivering in that way, I certainly don't mean it. It's just, I just think we should have been a little bit more involved in the process.
And I welcome,
okay, well, let's,
I know you always have.
Guys, let's put this to bed right now. We're not gonna solve this right now with this discussion.
Okay.
But we should definitely keep an eye on it, as you suggest. Pre-treatment coordinator status.
okay, so we're done
Any
with this?
update?
I'm sorry.
I think it's gonna be for citizens' participation, which isn't on here, but I'll add it. Pre-treatment,
Where are we?
Oh, Mr., can I ask,
Pre-treatment coordinator.
No, I'm trying to, I gotta figure out what month I'm in to get
yes,
my calendar.
ma'am.
can I just ask one more question?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not controversial. Is the Buttermilk Bay one that we're doing,
So it works?
can any of that go back to Bourne?
No, that's not part of them.
Okay, that's all I was gonna ask.
Nice try.
It's fine.
That's right.
Okay.
There's nothing greater to report than we did last time.
Okay.
Still got that person out.
Okay, your report.
I guess I've been on vacation, so I'm very limited, but I did want to bring to the board's attention, we've got a request
Do
to
we,
tie in.
are you gonna tell us about your vacation?
I've been up nights trying to make sure we don't overflow at the plant. I've been at the plant back and forth. I was there today to solve some issues. Overall, it's been a pretty good vacation.
All accounts?
Yeah, it's been a lot of long nights. So to this specific, I really haven't paid much, but again, I wanted to bring to the board's attention, Back Street. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Back Street in Onset is, 6 Back Street. They've come, there's a house out back that's been condemned for years. There are people that have purchased it and they're billing it, and they want to tie it to sewer. That area is a sewered area, and this would be considered infill, and so they have a right to tie into sewer. When we put the other house on Back Street, we put a pump station, the whole 9 yards, and we left a provision for that house in the future, and the future is now. So these folks would like to get permission to tie in, and I'd like to grant them permission, and I need the board's consent to.
What's the
allow it.
cost?
We don't know. So the cost is $18,000 betterment. However, again, the grinder pump is deducted from
No.
that, so.
Okay, but we're looking at the last rate, hookup rate, right? 18K?
Yep.
Is that was the
Yep.
one for Cremisa and Oakdale?
That's correct. And so that's the sewer development fee, and then the policy is less the cost of the equipment because they're using a pump system to get it in, so. The same thing we did last time, so all that's validated, and then we do the math and.
Well, I make a motion that we approve it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
500.
See, I'm not
an
always difficult to me.
I don't consider it to be difficult. I think people have a right, and they should express, because
Nothing
that's how
wrong
we
with
get things
that.
Do
done.
you have anything else to go,
That's
Guy?
not insulted. No, I don't. Yeah, no, I think no, we don't. We're working on the plans for C Street, and I'll give them to you when I get them, and we'll review them, and I'll have somebody in to talk about the plans, what we're trying to do there.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the status of the pre-treatment coordinator status?
I have
Still
nothing
work
new.
in progress?
Yes,
Work in
it is.
progress.
We have a person out on FMLA, and so,
C Street, you'll have somebody in to bring us
Explain it
up
to
to
us.
speed on that.
yep,
The sump pumps are still the same.
absolutely.
We haven't had enough rain
Haven't had enough rain.
to get out there.
God, man, I tell you, that storm was horrendous, huh?
Wind.
It was a beauty.
We're carrying 2 full basins. We're carrying 2 million gallons of water, still carrying it. We're having a hard time emptying it because it hasn't stopped coming yet.
Oh, jeez.
Stone Path, any
Nothing new on
changes
that.
on them?
I'm sending them out a letter just for the board's knowledge. I'm sending them a letter of the evaluation that was given to us about the entire project and the entire area, so they can be aware of the future, because it's going to be difficult to move forward if they want to expand. But I want to get that to them, so with the board's
Okay.
permission, I'll mail it to them so they can have the same report we have.
Have we seen that report?
Hey, we did. We seen it a while ago. You need it again? I seen it a while ago. We discussed it here.
A few months ago.
We discussed it, then I've got it someplace.
Yeah. But if the board needs it again, we can get it.
Okay, homes not connected to town sewer. You have one that's on, you're putting a lien on?
We are? I'm not so sure anymore. I know that they're still being done. I mean, I'm amazed that we're still getting sewers being done, but a lien, I'm not so sure if we're doing a lien on.
Okay, I understand there's one that's got a lien going against it. I don't know the details of where or what, but I thought you had that.
We wouldn't put liens on property for them to tie in. There may be a sewer lien,
Yeah,
because
there's
they didn't
sewer-
pay the
sewer
bills
lien.
and that type of thing,
Oh,
and
maybe
that's
that's
gonna
what it
clear
is.
it. So
John mentioned it today.
yeah. Oh, I think what they're talking about is you gotta sign a document tomorrow.
That's right, yeah, I got one tomorrow to
Foreclosure, and
sign, I
that
know.
gives us the right to go after the money. We used to do them all the time, so
Right.
you need to sign it tomorrow. And so that's probably what John was talking about. It's for you tomorrow to
I
sign.
think that was it, because he mentioned tomorrow getting it signed.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And EDU rates were still under discussion on those things. That's gonna have to be addressed again.
And I think it's something that, I think it's something that we should give to our we're getting a new business manager. I think it's something we should bring up and have that
Yep.
individual work at it, because it's one of their fortes.
6A, are you looking to talk to us?
I actually just came, I had an abatement issue presented tonight, and I wanted to hear how it was abated, I guess, and I just need to decide how I want to proceed
Okay, so you're set for the moment?
for the moment.
Okay. Be here. 2 weeks, same time, same station. Town meeting warrant, which is now for 2.65.
2.650,
That's it. Now, 2.650.
2,650,000.
Okay.
The warrant is presented in such a way that $1 million would come from our capital, and the balance of 1,650,000 would be borrowed.
Okay, and our borrowing guy, are we able to borrow from the Clean Water Trust, SRF? And what's our,
So I can't answer that, but I'll tell you this. We applied for the clean water for a $10 million, up to $10 million. If that comes through in January, we're on the list, then we can definitely get the money.
okay, so we don't know won't know until January?
Because it's a process. We will have no idea.
Okay,
And there's
So-
other grants that were,
so they're not gonna make it in town for time for town meeting, I take it?
no, they're not. As far as their decision is to, I mean, and one thing about the state, there's no rushing them. It is when it is. And, but there's another grant we're looking at that was brought to us by GHD, and it may pay for the whole thing, and we're looking at that too, but I can't make any promises or commitments until, that grant's for $1.5 million. So he's trying to chase it
So
down.
part of the warrant is that we've backed away and only are going to ask for the construction of the equalization lagoon. And then 150,000 would go toward an engineering plan for the other two components, being the denitrification filters and the covered lagoon. So all three components that we originally asked for the 10 million is not being sought at fall town meeting.
What exactly is being sought for a town meeting?
The 2.5 million for the lining of the equalization lagoon,
Oh, okay.
Hey, Guy,
and
that's only,
150,000, and 150,000 for an engineering.
that's only for lining, that's not for covering.
No, it's just a line. That's the
Just a
line, the one
line.
to the left, that's diversions going into, that's going into the water table. And so we're really doing a groundwater discharge, well, the groundwater discharge permit. So we're in violation of our permit. So we have to rectify that issue before it gets to be very
Are the
costly.
plants growing better because of it?
Incredible. It's like, I mean, it's credible.
So that's a conservation issue. They should be happy. They should be supporting us on this.
No, they shouldn't be supporting us, and it's, So that's just one of those things that has to be done. And again, that was a design issue, and it goes way back, and
But we normally use that lagoon only in the spring, right?
use it. So we're talking about the lagoon, we never
But
use it.
it isn't raw sewage going in there. It's partially treated, but not completely
Secondary.
treated.
That's right,
It's a
secondary
secondary, yeah, but it still stinks.
It has an odor, but nothing like the raw. If the
Not,
raw
not
was
like
out-
that, yeah.
Our raw basins are, I mean, over that windy week, we were there. I mean, it was scary. We were there. Carrying 2 million gallons, and that's raw, and we had to just keep throwing to the back of the plant, so and pumping like crazy. So, yeah, it was crazy. And we still can't, I mean, the water's still coming. We're still getting high flows. The sump pumps are pumping like crazy. We got high flows, and that's just the way it is. And we're waiting for that to go back to normal. And then we can really give it a good honest effort to get it empty, both basins.
So I think we should make sure we have voted on this warrant article.
Yeah, well, that's.
I make a motion that we approve the warrant article that will be submitted at fall town meeting.
Do I have a second from anyone?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who's gonna do the presentation at the town meeting?
Russ?
Can you talk to him and tell him
We
to
can talk
put
to
in,
You need,
put in a word about what these sump pumps are costing us?
he has 5 minutes, but we can definitely mention, because that's part of the problem, and we will talk about the problem. That is part of the problem. It is the biggest part of the problem.
Well, and try and tell them that, I mean, the person next door to you is using the sump pump, they're giving you a screwing on your sewer rates. So they're not a nice neighbor.
They're-
Only if it's tied into the sewer system.
out of the sewer.
A lot of people have them that.
I'm only talking about the ones that are tied
I
into
know,
the sewer.
but I think that has to be explained to people at town meeting. I really do, because a lot of people don't understand that. That's
But
a,
they don't understand where their sump pumps go?
I'm sure it's
No,
some.
I'm serious.
no, they understand, no, I'm not saying that, Peter. What I'm saying is, I would just give a basic that, hey, look, a sun pump that's pumped out to your own yard is no problem. But when you start pumping it into the thing, this is what happens, and this is what it causes. That's all I'm saying. I just wouldn't, some people just don't know.
And this adds to the stink,
What, stink? That's it.
stink, smell, because there's so much,
Yeah, that's, I'm
So-
trying to,
I understand what you're trying to say, but what I want to get the point across is the people that know where that is going are hurting their neighbors.
oh, I agree with you 100%, and we should
All
get
right,
that over.
so can Russ explain to people that we're not against sump pumps, we're against sump pumps tied into our system?
Because it's illegal.
I mean, this,
But every
and
level
I
of
mean,
government.
after all, Guy, this kind of ties into his presentation anyhow to us, because we're
Absolutely. That's
going
why
to
I'm
do
gonna text him right now, so he
we
has it.
need this, and this is part of the cause of our needing it.
Absolutely. And it's just, I get the desire to pump it out of your basement, but at the same time,
I keep saying pump it next door.
give it to the neighbor.
Yeah.
Neighborly love, right? Give it to the neighbor. As long as it's out of your pocket, doesn't matter. As long as I'm not responsible, give it to somebody else.
That doesn't work, I know.
But yeah, you're right, it's a big picture.
Okay, our next meeting date, as an update here, people, will be Monday, November 4th,
Fourth, yeah.
at 6:30 with the Bourne Sewer Commissioners. And you have in your packet a couple of agenda items. If any of you have any other items you would like to see on our agenda for that night,
Okay.
please let me know and we will get them on it.
Guy, can I ask a question, Mr.?
Yes,
Guy, are you gonna be able to bring up to the Board of Commissioners the things that they're not doing, that the contract says that they're supposed to be
I
doing?
mentioned that, but I think at
Yeah,
this
I
time,
think-
Jim said at this time, you guys
it's just
want
gonna
to
be
report.
it's just gonna be the sewer commissioners.
And you guys are going to talk to him, and
On this
then
one.
we'll start bringing things out.
I want to sit with, you've got a chance, I want to sit with you before this and get a list of that kind of stuff, so
But so it's kind of you know, an introduction, here's who we are, we got some issues, let's build a good rapport, let's work towards a common goal, the whole 9 years. I think that's.
See, we haven't been involved in
That's
the
all I
past
understand.
with the Board and Sewer Commissioners, nor have they been involved with us.
Well, no, but we've
That's
been
been-
sitting on this, but, I mean.
But we've had
Mr.
no
Bowen has been
contact
sitting on
with
it.
them.
Well,
We've had
no,
nobody to
and I'm
contact.
not, I'm not blaming
That's the only
them.
reason for this right now.
I just want to make sure that they're living up to their end of the thing, which they haven't been, and it's been costing
At
us
this-
money.
At this particular point, I want to be able to see who these people are.
You know who they are,
No, I don't. I know one.
okay?
I don't know the other four.
And
Do you?
Jimmy Potter's he's the
He's the
chairman.
only one.
He's the chairman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the short straw.
He's good at what he
Oh,
does.
yeah.
He's real good at what he does.
And I've spoken with him, and that's why we've got this meeting, and he and I have been talking back and forth to get a meeting. And I like it with him because he at least has some background from here as well, that probably we don't have,
Oh, I'm sure.
so.
The agenda has discussion on the amendments to the IMA. Can we have a chance of seeing that before we go to the meeting?
I believe I just mentioned that to Guy, that I wanted to meet with him to get this, to get it out.
You have
So
the
we can get
IMA.
it ahead of time.
We have an IMA.
You have the IMA, is that
I
what
have
you're
the
asking?
IMA.
Your book?
Discussion on the amendments to the
Oh, the
IMA.
amendments.
What
Oh, okay.
amendments are we talking about?
I'm with you there, Sandy. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Would just like to be prepared.
I agree with you.
And capital improvements? Any
You're
idea
talking-
what that, and
You're talking about one right now. We've got an article.
I know, but this is with the Bourne Sewer.
I understand that. but
Commissioners.
Because they're responsible for
For
some of
percent of
the,
this. They're
for
responsible
percentage
for
of
18% of this.
so they want to know what this is all about.
Okay, so it's our capital improvements that we're looking for at fall. We'll know by that time whether or not we have the approval for the fall town meeting. Okay. And then maybe you want to give them a copy of our 5-year plan?
Oh, yeah, the capital plan? It's not a bad idea.
Would it be worthwhile to share with them the 5-year
Oh, yeah, well,
plan?
I'd say let's bring that with us, and that will probably come under the discussion between the amendments and the capital projects at the same time.
Then I'll update as the result of this afternoon's meeting
Yeah.
and bring an amended copy
Yeah,
for distribution, yeah.
Thank you.
that would make sense.
That's good.
That would make sense.
Well, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Donna, thank you very much. I'm glad you were here this evening.
No, you're not. Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Yes, he is.
Aye.
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 You thought I forgot my.
7,